Hey, hey, ladies! Welcome to Wealthy and Worthy Wednesday. How y'all doing today?
Doing good.
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 So good. It's so good to see all of you ladies today. And listen, y'all. If y'all are tuning in this week and y'all are one of our regulars, listen, we have a special addition to the crew, y'all. We have Dr. Billiina Shaw with us. She is joining us for Wealthy and Worthy in Atlanta. And so she is joining our weekly show as we count down to that event, which is happening in a few short weeks. And so I would love for you, Dr. Shaw, to introduce yourself to the audience and let them know a little bit more about you.
Sure. Can you guys hear me? And is there any echo?
No.
Okay. So my name is Dr. Billiina Shaw. I am a psychiatrist, triple board certified psychiatrist, and I am a financial wellness strategist. I help people build wealth from the inside out, is like what I like to say. I have, I was a federal employee. Well, you don't know that. I was a federal employee. I was dosed and lost my job, started a new job, and then after I started that new job, I ended up quitting that job. And so I am now a full-time entrepreneur, I like to say a doctorpreneur, and I am living my best life and continuing to grow and help others grow as well. And I still don't, and we're having little tech issues. I've changed mics all over.
Okay, that I don't. It's so strange because everybody else is saying it, but I don't hear an echo. Hi, Pamela. Thanks for joining us. Can you drop a note in the chat for us, Pamela, if you can hear an echo when Dr. Shaw is talking? Because I don't hear it on my side, but I see some of the other speakers can hear it. Interesting. Okay, let me see what she says. She's joining us from LinkedIn, which is always jumping. I need to make sure I got that window open for them over there on the LinkedIn side. Okay, so listen, we're gonna make it work. If what we could probably do is just make sure that everybody's muted when each person is talking, and see if we can minimize it that way. Cause I'm not sure what. Oh, she said she can hear an echo. Okay, so we'll try to minimize that as much as we can today. Or maybe even too, Dr. Billiina, if you have headphones to put in your computer, that may work too. I know sometimes that works for me.
I think it was quiet, but I took another audio device too. I started using a different audio device, but I'll be good.
Okay.
I don't have any good headphones that I
No worries.
used for this purpose with the microphone.
No worries. We'll make it work. All right. So listen, y'all. Today we are talking about a word that those of us who are high achieving, all of us who are high achieving, highly confident, highly impactful women, it's something that I think we acknowledge, but we don't always name it, right? But it is something that is underneath every single successful career, business, life, investment, any major life decision, right? And that word is discipline, right? We're not talking about motivation or feeling the vibes, right? We're not talking about perfect conditions or even certainty, which I think can sometimes be something that we seek after as well, being very type A personalities. But discipline is something that we want to tap on a bit today, because what I have come to know is that discipline, it doesn't change our lives in a way that it guarantees a specific outcome, but it does allow us to show up in consistency and follow through, and it gives us a sense of autonomy in how we play out the process, right? And how we experience the process. So we can determine what those inputs are. We can't always determine what the outcome will be. We can have a good educated guess, but life be lifing, right? So just know, right, that in this journey, you can establish a process, you can prepare, you can manage the risk, right? And you can make thoughtful decisions under pressure. And the point is that we want you to stick in that same process, because it is the consistency that will help steady you even when the outcomes may not always be guaranteed, right? And it's one of the reasons why I have become so passionate about teaching women how to invest correctly, right? Because I have had so many women talk about oh, it's gambling, it's too risky, it's too hard. Even I've had people say, right? And the point is that it is a skill, just like any other skill that you're developing, whether that's pushing through a career, whether that's establishing a business, whatever it is, it requires education, it requires strategy, it requires risk management, it requires patience, and it requires discipline, right? And so the more that I've engaged in this wealth building process with women, I realize just how similar this is to building a successful career, right? The skills that we need to become financially free, wealthy, right? And be in control of our financial decisions are really the same. And so today I want us to kind of have this conversation and explore what our careers have taught us about executing under pressure and how those lessons have carried into wealth building, leadership, and investing. All right. And so, as I mentioned before, we're so excited to welcome Dr. Shaw to today's conversation. She is going to really be a huge value add in helping y'all get to the root of why y'all ain't been building wealth, right? And so we're super excited to jump into this conversation today. So, ladies, as we think about building a career, right, and all of the behind the scenes discipline skills that y'all have done, right, we often have people, and we talked about this last week where Jeannie was saying how in society, when we are successful, when we are producing, we get immediate validation. We get immediate feedback of yes, you're the bomb, you're doing the thing, it's incredible, right? And people like to celebrate the results, right? The title, the promotion, the 7-figure, 6-figure business, the degrees, right? All the money. But we don't always talk about those silent deposits, right? Of consistency, discipline that we're putting in long before anybody actually sees the outcome, right? And so when you all think about your own careers, we're going to start the conversation personal today. When you think about your own careers, right? What did discipline look like before the recognition came? And whoever wants to start with this question can start. I don't really have a ranking today, but just want to open up the conversation and just hear from y'all personally. What did that look like?
I'll start.
Okay.
For me, this was waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning because when I started my business, my daughter was 2.5 years old. So she was very busy and very active. And so I needed to be able to get up early. Now, some people may say that sounds completely crazy to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. But for me, and at the time I was also a single mom. And so I had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to be able to get things done. It also looked like sending out over 1,000 sales email out every single day, and me actually sending them out myself and knowing that my day was not done until I hit 1,000. Did I feel like doing it all the time? No, but that's what discipline is all about. It's doing when you don't feel like it. And so that's what it kind of looked like for me starting out.
You said 4 a.m.?
4 a.m. Yep. I mean, not Tiana, I had to do it because I had to get to it. I did not have to waste money needed to pay. I had to be able to provide.
I understand. I love that. I love that story. My goodness. It just shows really the commitment, right? And the sacrifices that moms who are carrying and balancing so many plates in the air, you've got to kind of negotiate those things. So Yeah, I love that. Who else wants to talk about that behind the scenes discipline? What did it look like? How did it feel?
Yeah, I can go. Um, for me, it looked like we had integrity, and it was because, especially during training, learning how to become a resident physician, I was seeing a lot of patients with, chronic illnesses. They were on multiple medications, and I wanted to make sure that. Oh, can somebody mute their echo? Echo on my end too. I think that's yeah, perfect. Okay. Yes. I wanted to make sure that I was able to provide the right foundation for them. And I wanted to make sure that I really wanted to help them find health because a lot of the times we are looking for disease, but we're not finding health. And in order for me to do that, I had to practice the walk myself. And so, I was a physician, teaching very simple exercises that they could do at home if they couldn't afford a gym membership. I was showing them, simple meals that they can eat, if they couldn't afford a meal delivery service. And the reason why I said if they couldn't afford because I train in Jamaica Queens, okay? And so I train right by JFK LaGuardia. And so people would come from their country of origin to receive medical care. And so I wanted to be able to educate patients. I love educating and teaching patients. And within my practice, I do a lot of that. I wanted to be able to educate and teach patients about just the pillars of health, right? And show them how they could build upon that when they understand the pillars, the foundation of health, and help them recognize the goal is to find health, not to always find disease. And so for me, it looked like educating them, but I had to do that myself. And so very much like Stephanie, before I had to go into the hospital, I would be in my room just doing a quick workout in. I would make sure that I would bring my own meals to work with me because a lot of the times they like to dangle certain things like, oh, it's resident appreciation day. Here's some pizza and ice cream. And it's just like, okay, we're not even practicing what we preach here. We're not even practicing what we preach. And so I really made sure that I led with integrity and I was practicing all those things, even when I would work nights, right? I would find ways if it was like an easy night, if I was able to get like a couple of minutes of sleep during the night, I would do that so that when I was up during the day, I had time to move my body so that when I come back to the hospital, I am rejuvenated, I am refreshed to give back to my patients. And so the oxymoron with healthcare that always drove me insane is that the infrastructure of it is so much so that we have to work so hard and sacrifice ourselves. But I wanted to internally change that infrastructure where you know what, I'm a physician who practices what I preach. Not only do I take care of my body, but I take care of my mind. I make sure that I invest in the right relationships, right? And hence that's why the name of my practice is invest in vessel. This is something that I practice as a resident. And so those were a lot of sacrifices that I had to make very early on in the beginning as a resident, is trying to figure out, okay, who do I want to be? Because I saw my attendings, right? So when you have a mentor, it could be very easy to follow just what your mentor does. But at the same time, you have to learn how to develop, okay, how am I going to show up in this space? And learning how to show up in this space as a physician in a different way where actually I'm investing in myself, because by investing in myself, I know that I could provide even the better healthcare to my patients by making that investment in myself first.
Come on, preach, girl. That's so good. That's so good. Yes, yes. Those private practices, I often tell my clients, those private practices always show up in public. Always. They always show up. Like, it may be a lagging indicator, but it is going to show up at some point in time of how you are practicing in private. So, love that so much. Anybody else want to speak to the discipline behind getting to where you are now?
Yeah, I'd love to speak to it. I
Yeah.
think, I think a lot of the ladies today spoke to sort of the discipline that you see in the day to day in carrying out the acts that are required to get you to where you are. The setting that I was in as someone who worked in ERs, in inpatient, acute care settings, crisis settings, it took a level of emotional discipline consistently. It took a level of composure under pressure. I mean, you have individuals who are in very dire stages of their care mentally, and they require so much sensitivity. They require so much patience, and an endurance to to really contend with some of the things that are coming at you. I mean, you have clients who are in a state of psychosis, so they have no understandings about reality. They can build worlds around you that don't make any sense, that aren't rooted in what's actually happening around them. And to be able to have sort of this sound clinical judgment, hold space and compassion for what they're going through, understand that intellectually, and then also just show up with your heart. It was a lot of work that obviously has led me to For Love and Psych, right? Because that's what it's about. It's about the love first and seeing people clearly inside of their pain and inside of their hurt and recognizing what's mine from what's theirs. So there was a lot of emotional discipline, a lot of really understanding and honing the skill of empathy. And yeah, it was good times, hard times for sure.
Jeez. I don't know why that just made me really teary eyed. Like, thank you for sharing that. I just like want more people to experience that level of care from a provider, especially a mental health provider, right? And so to hear you articulate what all that it takes for you to show up in that way, even for me knowing you, it's illuminating, because for me, you show up that way just in general, right? But I've never seen you in work. You know what I mean? So like, to hear you kind of like say like, oh no, like it requires some work, like some effort. I think that's so beautiful that your clients get to experience, what I've been able to experience over the years. So thanks for sharing that. What you got, Dr. Shaw? Anything you want to share about what it took, the discipline that it took to be here? We can't hear you.
Oh, you're
I see you're
welcome.
unmuted, but we can't hear you.
What about now?
Yep.
Okay. I tried the external microphone. I tried almost every device that has a microphone in the house. It's the discipline of making sure I'm on this call, right? And I think that it does say something about just working through hard times, but knowing that there's greater good on the other side. That, so many times with the discipline, and there are those little micro steps, but like for me and for others, just knowing that it's essential and that giving up isn't an option. But then also knowing, like, it's an interesting question for someone. I have ADHD as well. And so, when I think about discipline, it can be kind of like a dirty word, because their neurotypical way is just like you do it all the same way all the time, right? And I think also learning to adapt to the fact that for me, discipline may be those spurts, but knowing that if there's two steps forward, one step back, that it's always that you're still taking that step forward. And as we have, as I've had my own journeys, and I've had times of where I'm like, is this happening? And then, something's fallen off. I'm like, well, what else was I doing? Well, something else of value at that moment, right? Like, and if it wasn't anything, and taking rest is also something else of value. you know, and so it's because my brain and my body like to have like an on and off switch. Um, it really likes this on off switch, like this like day to day thing is not a normal thing for me. And so I have learned though that there's that even as I do things, knowing that I'm still doing it consistently, even if it isn't necessarily the same consistency that I had hoped to do it in the beginning, knowing that consistency can look different for everyone at every time and every season, that you're still making that progress. And for me, because it, you know, especially being a high achieving person, when you think about needing to have some type of consistency to move forward, it can get really easy to get stuck and say, well, because I didn't do it yesterday, because you know I took the 3 day break, but I did like 5 times my goal the you know the week before that I didn't do it. And then if I get stuck in thinking about what I didn't do, then I don't do anything else. So learning that about myself, so that I realize that consistency and discipline can look different in different seasons and different times and different places and different for different people. But it's and looking at it from a place of self compassion and not self judgment.
Oh, come on, you speaking our language. Yes. I love that so much. I love that so much. And just even the acknowledgement, like you said, of like, it's going to look different from day to day, season to season. And I find that too, like, I think for me, like, my question for myself is always like, what's my MVP? Right? Like, what is my minimum viable product? Like, if I'm feeling like I don't quite have it that day, it's like, okay, what's my MVP? And sometimes, like, over this last year, like when I had spine surgery, my MVP was getting out of the bed, doing my physical therapy, taking a shower, and putting on clothes. Like, like that was my MVP for a minute, right? But like, I just had to be very clear about like, what is my capacity and what can I give right now? And then, like you said, like, not self-judging, but just like so much self-empathy of just being like, that's enough, like, it's enough. I don't need to be, Jeannie, I love when you say this. Jeannie always reminds us, she's like, I don't need to be more than the moment demands. Like I'm just, like I'm just giving the best I got, and that's enough for right now. And I think for us as highly, highly capable women, that can be a growing area for sure, a growth area for sure. So, okay, thank y'all for sharing and rolling with me on opening it up to a personal experience as we kind of got into this conversation. So, as we kind of shift the conversation a little bit, right? Like, I want to shift a little bit to talk about like a valuable lesson that I have learned and that I continue to learn is that we cannot control the outcomes, but we can control the process, how we show up in the process, right? And so as you all think about that, I'm gonna kick it back to Dr. Shaw. Why might someone understanding why might it be difficult for someone to understand a strategy, whether it's financial or, we're talking about wealth building, right, and investing today, but like, why is it difficult for them to see it, acknowledge it, understand it conceptually, not intellectually, but still struggle to execute? Like, what is that? I actually talked to Jeannie about this last week offline. So I'm actually interested to hear her after you, because I was just baffled. Like, I'm teaching these women how to invest. I'm sharing a screen. I'm showing them the setup. I'm like, this is where you get in. And I check in after and they're like, I didn't get in. And I'm like, why? Like, what just happened? Like where are you? And my thoughts have been, how do I support them, right? Like, how do I support them in just executing? Like, the strategy is there laid out perfectly. And so it has been something that has just really come up so much for me in the last few weeks that I'm very, very interested and eager to hear what you and Jeannie have to say about what's happening. What's happening? I'm gonna go on mute.
So I could go for an hour on this, but I won't. Like in church, but I won't. But I think there's a couple of layers that I like to think about when it comes down to people's financial stories and how it impacts their next steps. And one of the things that I like to say is that our past informs our present, but it doesn't dictate our future. And that can be that's when we think about that from psychiatry and just generally behavioral health, you can think about trauma informed, just being trauma informed and thinking about how people's past informs their present, but also there's the micro traumas of life as well. And so you can think about it, I like to think about it from the concentric circle. So you have the first one being history. So, when we think about like this whole system of trading, and even just thinking about the concept of investing in other people's businesses. Well, whose businesses? And what does that business have to do for me? And and how has that business historically impacted me or cared about me and my people, right? And I like to say that capitalism is hard as a Black American when we were the commodity, right? And this is a part of capitalism. So that is the first part of just thinking about all the historical elements that go in there, right? The next piece there is the layer of household. And so just thinking about what are my experiences growing up and how, because that's our first personal memories of money are shaped by that. So one thing that I peeped when I first talked to you is that your mom is a trader, right? So for you, when you go in, you're like, what's the family legacy? This is it's a legacy league, or it's family legacy. It's natural for me. I'm just carrying this on. And I know this. We built wealth by this. I, have been able to be a part of supporting my family and all these things. Like you got it, this is a normative experience where there's a lot of Black Americans that are like, well, I was barely just getting by. Money to invest and save wasn't even a thing, let alone to do it in a way that's not the typical 401k slave and save, let someone else manage it way. There's all these things about what we're told around who we are with respect to money, and that we're not good with money as women. We drink too many lattes, we get our nails done too much, we're just too much, and therefore we're not going, like, all of these things are part of this that are just influencing us. And then the last piece of it is her story, I like to say, when you're thinking about the individual. So history, the big picture, but her story, HER capitalized. And that's our own individual stories. So, so many people have tried this, whether or not it is trying to save and realizing that there's something that's keeping them from being able to figure out where their money's going, and there's a a challenge with budgeting, or a challenge with spending in a way that they know they should have more, but they can't figure out where it's going. So there's that. There's also just guilt and shame over often other financial mistakes. Have they tried trading in the past? And that's just getting them stuck. I'm very excited because in about a month, I'm going to do a 5-day challenge on overcoming financial mistakes. Because what I didn't say too is that I actually made a large financial mistake. It's the first time I'm saying it in public, but I got scammed out of a lot of money. Found out last Friday. I was scammed out of a lot of money, hacked. And I had to take my little tail of that beach last week at the National Medical Association, the conference, and I had to stop, pray, journal, say this is not going to stop my future. This is not going to stop my next steps. This stinks, but I'm not going to let it. But I just think about also all the people that are going through things like that get them stuck. Because that's the kind of thing, the amount of money, like I talked to my financial advisor, he's like, a lot of people that would have taken them out. Like, and he's like, you never missed a mortgage payment. I bought a whole other house while it happened. Didn't notice it. Like but but I'm like gratitude. So anywho, I'm on a tangent. But the point is that, when you talk about how, like, you had this strength, right? This household strength. I now am thankful that in my own growth and these experiences I've had and having, that I have my own internal strength, that I just think about all the people that are going through those things and have these layers of things that are impacting them and don't have that. So when you think about not being able to log in, that's where some of the stressor may come from.
Thank you for that. My gosh. And thank you for sharing the personal part. And I'm so sorry that happened to you. That is not okay. People, people, people be people.
So in
You're absolutely right. The principle works. Absolutely. What you got, Jay? I see you nodding.
Yeah, because I'm just yeah, I commend Dr. Shaw on her transparency, and I'm so glad that you said what you said because I've talked to Dr. T before, and when she's transitioning into this new phase and working inside of trading, and I said, you're what they need out here because there are so many people who just do not live integrous lives, and their utmost priority is earning, and that doesn't matter if it is earning in the context of exploitation of other people. And so many human beings have been harmed, so many, and they don't speak about it. They don't bring it in. Their hearts are very hurt by it. And there's a lot of embarrassment, and they think it's because they aren't smart or because they aren't savvy or whatever else. I'm like, this is a doctor here telling you, listen, can happen to anyone. Humanity is humanity over across the board. And so we all work to be loving and trusting individuals who take shots in the dark and who take risks, right? And who try to move our lives forward. And if we are outcome specific, as you were speaking about, right? This might be something that would have us recoil. And I'm just glad to see you not doing it, Doc. So really appreciate you sharing that anecdote. That's amazing. And I think what I have to share is specific to that, right? It's the self that we have that's learned to survive versus the self that we had that is working really hard to untether to old patterns so that we can succeed in the ways that we want to, right? There is a world for us where process is front and center, and process looks like, how do I do this in a way that and with an approach that is aligned with who I want to be and how I want to move in life, right? And outcome says, how do I move this in a way that's going to bring in those tangible dividends? That's going to ensure that I succeed in life. And those are two very different conversations, both of them highly important conversations. Neither one, we hope, is being had without the other. Especially when we're thinking about, like Dr. Shah said, the history, right? What happened to me before? I tried something big, I jumped off, expecting to fly and fell splat on my face and it hurt, So now, yes, I am taken with fear over loss aversion, right? I'm inside of loss aversion in this moment. I'm worried about what will happen to me, what security will I lose, because I've built a world where I have some level of, in the ways that I've been moving inside of pattern, I have a level of safety. I understand my identity from these spaces. Maybe even something as, and this is not small, I don't want to minimize it by any means, but hear me when I'm saying like predictability is very important to human beings. I need to be able to predict what I'm going to put in and what it's going to put out. So I understand like almost how much energy that I can put into these things. So psychologically, there's just a lot that's going on there, right? There's this instinct of like, I don't want to lose. There's this instinct of there's a specific type of identity I have kind of in winning, right? In being successful in whatever my methods have been historically. And then I'm going to try something else. What? I'm going to try something else that yes, maybe is more aligned with where my heart is right now. I mean, how many people stay in marriages because it's predictable and they know what's going on in them? How many people stay at jobs that are literally draining them dry because it's predictable and they can understand what's going on and they know that if I put in these many hours, this is the paycheck I'm going to get. And I know that if I do this for my partner, this is the outcome I'm going to get from them consistently versus like actually, I feel so much happier when I'm around this other person that I've met, or I feel so much happier when I'm on my own and doing things in my own way. And I experience that in like short spurts, but like the idea that I would continue that and make these huge changes in my life is just going to take me a lot of courage. So I think that's where you were getting to. But yeah, these things are insanely difficult
Yeah.
to decide in and to shift into, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Y'all just help me understand, okay? Which is why I'm so glad I have y'all on the squad, okay? Cause look, when I'm doing the thing and they not doing the thing, I'll be like, listen, what I need to do? Cause what
What
I
is
need to
this?
do? Cause this ain't working. I just want them to be free. I just want them to be free. I want them to have time and money freedom. That is my mission, right? Because I love it over here. So I'm like,
Hey,
I just
just know
want
that they
y'all
want it too, that they want
to,
it so badly too. They're
yeah,
just there's that extra hump that they're
yeah,
dealing with that you have broken through. You've done the work to break through. They're in that other place. And sometimes it's hard when you look on, you're like, I'm already over here. Come over here. You can trust me. I'm over here.
yes,
And they're like, but wait, hold on a minute. Like I haven't
yeah,
done all of that yet. So it's just remembering,
makes sense.
like connecting, reconnecting with that part of you that was like, no, there was a time when I was where they are.
Oh my gosh, yes, totally.
One thing you said, Jeannie, that really, sorry, can you mic?
I'm gonna mute. Go ahead.
Me talk. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with. I have to use StreamYard all the time. Never had a problem. Anywho, so so you know what, Jeannie, when you said around talked about safety, I I was it made me think about the analogy of who we are as people who needed to hunt and gather. And when you think about hunting and gathering, that the gathering is consistent, but only can carry you so much, and really doesn't give you that fat for for the seasons where it can be tough, and the true fuel of meat. I'm a pescatarian, so I mean I'm don't hound me if you don't love the analogy, because I'm a pescatarian myself. But at the end of the day, either the meat has a lot is has more protein and fat, and especially when we didn't have refrigeration and all these things, like the hunting really was really important for survival. And but gathering is safe, and it just makes me think about how many people are living in that safe gathering spot, but not really pursuing the hunting.
That needs to be the next topic of the discussion for Wealth and Worthy next week. Because that is a solid and incredible insight. That is incredible. That is incredible. Okay.
That was God
Okay.
given.
So,
I wrote that down. I was like, hunting together. I was like,
oh, that's so
I was surprised on
good.
myself.
Yeah. That's so good. That's so good. That's so good. Okay. So one of the things, right, like as we've kind of talked about, like we can control the process, but we can't always control the outcome, right? And we can have deeper awareness of where those blocks are, where they come from. Dr. Shaw broke that down so beautifully for us. And then Jeannie came in and just added a little bit more of like, yes, you know why, but here's how you can move anyway. Right? That is the point, okay, y'all? If you're watching back on the replay, you're watching now, that is the whole point, right? Like we can acknowledge those things without letting them stop us from building wealth, from being wealthy, in totality. And so, as you guys know, if y'all are our regulars, y'all know when we talk about wealth, we talk about way more than money, okay? Because money is just the cheapest part of us, okay? But as we think about, right, like being able to continue to execute even in this arena of today, we're talking about investing, money, finances, right? As high achieving women, right, who are used to just being excellent, used to executing with precision under pressure, right? I know that sometimes that external maybe representation of like discipline is actually showing up, or is actually a cover up for fear, overfunctioning, perfectionism, and sometimes Jeannie called this survival, right? Like we could be stuck in survival mode where we're just like head down, just executing, doing the thing, right? So how do we as women, high achieving women, distinguish healthy discipline from self abandonment? And I want to pass this to Dr. J first because I want to hear from you. What signs does the body give when discipline has crossed into depletion? And what should we be paying attention to? Because our bodies talk first before anything. And so I want to hear from you, like what's up? What should we be doing?
Yes. And so I see this in my patients, especially them being high achieving. Um, Patients will come to me because they, either want to lose weight or they want to develop a life that allows them to be strong and healthy, not just for right now, but in the future. And because they're so because they are so high achieving, they think that, okay, well, what I need to do is control very tightly what I can control. And so the easiest place to do that is how I eat, how I move my body, right? And but those are usually the two areas that they're looking at, and they fail to see how their whole life uh, plays a part, right? And so if you are chronically stressed, if you have relationships that are depleting you, that can show up in your body. It can show up, I mean, through hair loss, through losing too much weight, from increased cortisol, lack of sleep, right? Sleep deprivation. And then, especially when you enter into midlife and you also experience the changes that happen in midlife, then it becomes confusing. It's just like, okay, there are multiple things happening now. There are, the changes of chronic stress that are affecting my body, but then there is also the metabolic changes of midlife that are also affecting my body, right? And so with that, you have a compounded effect where, like, cognitively it can affect you, your mood, your resiliency. It can affect you. It could affect your sympathetic nervous system, and we see that through elevated blood pressure, right? It could show up through getting increased adiposity around the abdomen, which also then provokes insulin resistance. And so you now have a compounded effect, and they are still at the point where, okay, but I'm trying all I can through diet and exercise. And so that is only just a small, tiny fraction of it. But there is, number one, your environment, the way you live, and also just the metabolic changes that happened during midlife, especially during like perimenopause and menopause. And so you have this compounded effect. And this is the thing, there's only so much discipline that you can exert to um enhance your metabolism, where at this point you need help, right? You need help from a professional who is able to see things that you cannot see, who's able to look at your blind spots, who's able to look internally of what is actually happening in the body that is keeping you in the same place that you are. And so sometimes we think, okay, and I know this conversation is about discipline, but sometimes I see it where women think that all they need to do is just exert more discipline and they will yield a result. But what that actually calls for, it calls for professional help. It calls for professional help to
Right.
help you see things that you cannot see so that you can get to the place where you really want to be.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Dang. Okay. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Okay, so Dr. J just laid out a lot of symptoms for y'all to be keeping your radar on, right? Like that lack of sleep, not even eating appropriately, right? Like not getting rest. Those little basic things, like you can't out discipline yourself to sit down. Like you just might need to rest and get an expert to help you unpack what's happening if you can't figure it out yourself. Because if you just keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result, y'all know what that is, right? Like it doesn't make any sense, okay? But it is sometimes our default as women who are just used to doing the thing. It's like, oh, that's not working. Let me just keep doing it, ratchet up the intensity. And it's like, no, that's not always the answer. That's not always the answer. Sometimes it means pause, right? And sometimes it means ask for help. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually called wisdom. So I love that, Dr. J. Thank you for that. So Stephanie, I'm going to pass it to you. As we think about our highly ambitious, highly impactful women, right? How, as an owner of an executive search firm, how do you see women being able to pursue these ambitious career goals without allowing achievement to consume their entire identity?
Oh, I think that's a little hard. First of all, let me just acknowledge that this whole episode has been all about discipline, because when I tell you everything that could go wrong has gone wrong today, it's like the echo. And I tell you, I don't know why they are out here landscaping today, but the man just keeps blowing right here in front of my door. And so it's all just been an episode about identifying distractions and knowing that you still have to be disciplined even beyond the distractions. So I want to say that this whole episode, Live and in Living Color, has all been about discipline for all of us. Anyway, so for me, how do you help women not, I guess, become self-absorbed in a lot of ways by their really
Yeah.
overall, especially right now in this market, because I'm talking to a lot of women who are either seeking promotions or they're just looking for a new job in general because they've been laid off. And they're finding themselves constantly having to apply for jobs and receiving rejections. And I think right now, the biggest advice that I'm giving to women is just to give yourself grace and know that it's okay. You are not a job, right? Like, yes, you work a job, but that job, that title, that is not who you are. And if you constantly remind yourself of that, I think it will help you not get lost in the hustle and bustle of trying to achieve more. And so right now, I think for me personally, and I'll just even attribute this to the natural, right? I think about the scripture where it says to everything there's a season. And I think sometimes we forget that there are still seasons of sowing. And when you're sowing, you're not necessarily reaping anything. You're just planting. You're planting seeds everywhere. And so for women who are looking for executive roles, that's all they're doing every day. They're planting seeds. And there's no achievement attached to just planting seeds, but you do know that there's also a season where you're going to reap. And so again, going back to grace, it's all about giving yourself grace and recognizing what season you're in. Maybe you're not in a season of achieving. Maybe you're in a season of sowing, or maybe you are in a season of reaping, but just know that there's also going to come a time where you're going to be sowing all over again, because it's an ongoing cycle. So just give yourself grace, but also recognize what season you are in.
Ooh, we talking a lot about seasons today, honey. Yes, that's so good, Stephanie. That's so good. Okay, y'all, we winding down on the time. Okay, so one of the reasons why I really wanted us to have this conversation, right, is because all of these same patterns, right, these career, these health, like the mental patterns that we have to fight through, they all show up when it comes to investing and building wealth, right? And as I said, wealth is the way we define it is much more comprehensive. It is not just money. But today we are talking about also investing. like why are we not, what are the roadblocks? What is stopping us as women from being able to invest? And specifically, this is a major topic for me because the data is very clear that Black women are the absolute most educated demographic, yet we are the lowest when it comes to wealth. It's unacceptable to me. It's unacceptable to me. And so it is a big part of why I have shifted out of a lot of my impact investing advising to actually teach women how to build wealth in practical ways, because it is not for other people. It is for you. And there are women in my community that are investing $20, $7, right? Like they're investing what they have, and we're using the stock market as a machine to make it multiply, right? Because as Black women specifically, we are well versed in how to work really hard to make the money. We are not as equally adept at being able to multiply it and to preserve it and to pass it on, which is why I started Legacy League in the first place. Because our mandate, my mandate, is to leave an inheritance for my children and my children's children. That is my job. And I cannot do that if I am broke, busted, and disgusted. So yes, wealth is important in all areas, and it is important financially. Like y'all will never hear me not talk about it. Like it is God's intention and his heart for our lives. And I'm tired of all of the Christians who are taking vows of poverty and all of these like ridiculous things, because you cannot be the hands and feet of Jesus if you ain't got no resources. Okay? And I know that wasn't vernacularly correct, and I don't care. I'm telling you it straight. Okay? You've heard me say it multiple times. You cannot be the change you want to see in the world if you ain't got none. Okay? So if you're coming to this conversation, open your mind, open your heart, because we're going to make sure that all those things are together. But we also going to make sure your coins are together. Okay? Because you deserve to be abundant in all areas. Okay? You deserve that. You are worthy of that, which is why we are here showing up every single week, pouring into y'all, and which is why we are gathering in Atlanta in is it even 3 weeks, you guys? I don't even know if it's 3 weeks. I've stopped counting. But we are going to be together in Atlanta for the Wealthy and Worthy Mastermind, y'all, August 24th through the 23rd. If you have not gotten your tickets, go on over to wealthyworthy.org and get your tickets, okay? Because we about to be dropping these gems on y'all, and I don't care what nobody say. Virtual is nice, but when you in person, it hit a little different, okay? So we're gonna be there. We have our trading community trading live on Friday, which I'm super pumped about. And then the rest of the weekend, we will be diving into all of the topics that we discussed today of being wealthy, being worthy in our minds, in our hearts, in our bodies, in our careers, and why all of that is important for us to keep an eye on, right? We're not seeking perfection, but we are seeking to grow and to grow together and to grow in community, all right? So as we wrap up today's discussion, ladies, I would love to hear from y'all. We always send our love letter out at the end. And I want y'all to imagine the woman who's watching today. She's standing in front of maybe a major decision. Maybe it's a financial decision, but maybe it's a different decision, right? But she has prepared. She's done the thing to get all the information, right? We are information gatherers. But she's still waiting for certainty before she moves. What is one truth that you want her to remember about discipline, courage, and or execution? Whoever wants to go first, y'all can take it.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Last night, my pastor said something and it got me all the way together. He said that there's a difference between viewers and visionaries. He said a viewer sees the possibility, but a visionary sees possibilities and makes them happen. And so one truth that I'll leave with the lady who's watching today, or man, whichever one, is which one are you? Are you a visionary or are you a viewer?
Oh, come on. That's beautiful. Thank you, Stephanie. That was good. Who else wants to go?
I think I can talk about what I spoke a couple weeks about this, how, when you have community, it's super helpful if you're a more whimsical person who sort of gets the ideas and like is ready to go for them, but just doesn't know how to create per se internal structure in a way. And I think what's helped me so much in first off learning from people like Dr. T, from all of you women here that I've talked about growing with, and it's about creating, when I'm looking to shift inside of internal changes, I'm not looking to change my being. My being is wonderful, it's magical, it's lovely, and it's float, and it's all these great things that I love so much about myself, but it does require external structure. So I'd say to the woman who has that kind of more whimsical personality, or gets the vision, like we say, or gets the dream, it comes to her all the time, but she doesn't necessarily know how to hone it in. We've got to create external structures around that so that there is, to some degree, this process where we're working towards something greater. It's not just inside your head. It's not just a dream. So you've got to schedule work periods. You got to have these deadlines that you instigate for yourself and make them true to what's real for you. You've got to have accountability partnerships where someone is going to keep you in line and help you to maintain and be afloat. Financial guardrails, can be in place at times as well. Defined like weekly deliverables were a game changer for me. So if I had to explain that and coming at the more practical from the more whimsical human being, that's what I would say to the woman who's jumping in. Like, you are a dreamer and you are a lover and you are more whimsical, and there's nothing wrong with that. You've just got to create the backbone to that. You can be hard all day and you'll just be harding and loving. You won't be doing so. We've got to create some spine, some skeletal structure for you to move in.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, we are all better together. Dr. J, Dr. Shaw, what y'all got?
Yeah, I can say you cannot out-discipline mental, emotional, or physical fatigue, because many women, they come to me and they are exhausted, and they think because they have not achieved the result that they wanted to in their health, that they have failed, right? Whereas I tell them, no, you've actually come to the right place, right? You are exactly where you need to be, and we're going to work together. And so sometimes we just be doing too much. And when we get to that point of fatigue and exhaustion, we have to stop and be like, okay, where am I actually going? Right? And how can I get the support to help me get there?
I love that. I love that. Y'all hear that? The consistent theme: support. Okay? Ain't nothing wrong with it. We all need it and deserve it. Dr. Shaw, what you got?
The first thing that came to mind when you asked that question is yes, you. I feel like so many times people are like, well, that's for somebody else, or, I wasn't disciplined that time, or I didn't deserve this, or, they went to school longer, or, they like, there are just so many, but yes, you. Like that, it's that you actually are deserving of that thing that you're standing in front of. And yes, you should continue to pursue it. And yes, you're worthy of not just of what your fears say that might be the negative of it, but also what goes beyond what you can dream. And so actually you mentioned too the Bible. I actually posted today about this on LinkedIn about, I said the Bible's keeping you broke. Actually. Yeah,
Yikes!
yeah. I said the Bible's keeping you broke. And I said I put Bible in quotes though.
Gotcha. Okay,
I put, yeah, because
gotcha.
you're like, oh, okay. Well, you're about to get kicked off the group before I
You
started.
about to,
I was
you
only
about to
45
rile up
minutes
the
in.
saints.
But yes, but the there's just so many misinterpretations of the Bible. But those are the
Yes.
kinds of things that can say not us, right? That it is for the person who has struggled so much more than me, and I didn't, and I came from this or that. I've gotten things I don't deserve, and so then I don't deserve more. But yes, you.
I love that so much. Oh, that's so good. Y'all just make my heart leap today. This is so good. This is so good. Okay, let me think. What would be mine? Okay, mine would be that God does not promise you certainty, but he does promise you clarity. And you know whatever that is, whatever it is that he told you to do, you're clear on it. You're just not doing it. You're not doing it because you're waiting for certainty, and that was never the promise. You just have to take the next step. Take the next step and trust that he will meet you there. And listen, it's all working for your good. It's all working for your good. So thank you, ladies, so much. And to our audience, right? My hope and my prayer is that today's conversation reminds you that discipline is not about being able to predict or control every outcome. It's about building a process, a system that you can trust, or getting inside of the system, like Jeannie said, maybe joining a community or an infrastructure where people have that skill set, right? It's understanding what may be influencing your decisions, like Dr. Shaw broke down for us, right? Those three concentric circles. It's being able to regulate yourself under pressure, like Jeannie reminded us of, right? Creating supportive environments, which we've all talked about today. It's about protecting your health as wealth, right? That Dr. J definitely dialed in on that for us today. And it's also being able to position yourself for opportunity, like Stephanie reminded us of today, right? It's being able to execute with a clear strategy. And that is what allows discipline to become a pathway to freedom instead of just another like form of pressure, right? Because sometimes, like Dr. J had mentioned, like when we say discipline, sometimes it feels like a dirty word. Like it's like, ooh, like not that, right? But we're reframing it today, right? Because I want y'all to know, right, that it is a pathway. If you can have all of those components incorporated and in sync, like you gonna be set. You're gonna be set. All right. So watch this back, share it with a friend, because there were some gems dropped in this session today. And also, listen, join us in Atlanta in a couple of weeks. Okay, August 21st through the 23rd. It is an intentionally curated experience. This is not a drop-in conference where you're just like seeing what's on the agenda and just popping in. No, we are actually curating a transformative weekend for ambitious women who are ready to build wealth, strengthen their leadership, protect their wellness, and create lives that are aligned with the legacies that they want to leave. Okay? Seats are intentionally limited because the intimacy is really part of the built-in structure of the experience. All right? So go to wealthyworthy.org to grab your seats, and we will see you all next Wednesday, same place, same time. Bye.